this episode of Purposely Curious, I sit down with Josh Stamps to discuss the ever-evolving world of craft beer. We discuss how beers are made and look at the beer culture in the US and also abroad. Grab a pint of your favorite beer and get nice and cozy as this episode starts now. Hello everyone. So on today's episode, I have my friend Josh from Smog City Brewery, who is going to be talking to us a little bit about his experiences with beer and the evolution of beer here in the US. And then, just kind of take it from there. So say hi, Josh.
Hi.
He has a very deep radio voice, so.
Yeah.
Now, you're also in a band, is that correct?
I am.
And are you singing?
No.
No? You're not using that voice for singing?
I do backups, but it's not as sexy as this natural voice that I have now. I play guitar in the band.
Okay. Yeah. And your band's name?
We are called the Fist Fight on Ecstasy.
Ooh, that's a dope-ass name.
It's fun.
Do you guys have a song by the...
We do, actually.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a pretty dope song. I'm going to have to check it out because I don't think
I gave you a record the other day.
Yeah. Well, I need a record player.
Well,
yeah.
you can check us out on Spotify and every platform there is. YouTube.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm looking to buy a record player, and I also want those speakers, those little speakers by is it Marshall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the Bluetooth ones. I actually have one at my house right now.
What, do you like it?
I do.
I want one.
They're great, and I'm a huge Marshall fan anyway, so anything Marshall, I'm all about.
Yeah. So, fun fact, I was my brother's chauffeur. So I'm 37. My brother's going to be 30 this year.
We're the same age.
Oh, yes. We look super young. But my brother played in bands since he started. My first boyfriend used to play the drums and the guitar. And my brother, I think, was like 10 years old at the time. Wow. He really was like, teach me. And he taught him how to play. So my brother plays the guitar, the bass, synthesizer, drums, like the double
kick.
Yeah.
Wow, that's talent.
Yeah, and he was playing like Metallica songs when he was like 10. That's
brilliant.
Yeah, so now he produces music. He makes his own music.
Wow.
Produces music, and then I think he ghostwrites stuff. But I used to take him when he was playing at like the Whiskey or like the Chain and OC. I would put him in my little Jetta, his drum set. And I would drive him everywhere. And so, because he wasn't legally able to drive at the time.
I think that's a pretty rad sister, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah. I would always tell him that. And he's always told me like he appreciates
That's pretty
me.
fucking cool.
Yeah. I would make the drum sets fit in my
that's
Jetta.
tiny.
Yeah. So definitely I don't have myself any tattoos, but if you see all my friends, they're all tatted up and like we're just like rocker people. So
that's cool.
So I definitely I'm gonna get that. I want to get it. And so when you gave me the music bits, oh my god, I'm horrible at this. I said I wanted to actually buy it and so that I can play them. And then I want to buy the speakers. So those are my things to be purchasing this week.
You should.
I will. Yeah. But anyway, so we live out here in the South Bay area. And so Torrance is a city where basically, if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is where I feel like a lot of the breweries kind of really took off the scene, even though there have been breweries everywhere, right? But it seems like there's a lot here.
There is. Actually, I moved here from Oxnard 10 years ago, and me and my wife Carrie used to go to the Red Car down the street in Old Torrance. Mm-hmm. And that's like a Red Car brewery, so we would go there and eat dinner and like these specialized like English style ales. And I remember like sitting next to some other couple and they're talking about like, oh, this new brewery just opened up called Monkish. I'm sure you all heard about it, right?
Yeah.
They were one of the first, the first ones were Strand Brewing Company. They were the pioneers of the South Bay like brewery scene that just started it off. Yeah. They're right across the street from us.
Yeah.
They used to be on Tilo Avenue. So when I used to work at Petco as a dog groomer before I worked in the brewery. And then every lunch day or lunch hour, I'd always go to Strand Brewing Company to crush a beer and shoot the shit with people because it's like literally down the street from Petco. Excuse me. Whoa. Burpee.
Yeah, we're actually drinking beer,
yes,
so either him or me might be doing that. We're drinking IPA, so.
Yeah. So and then they sent me a letter because I was part of like their mailing list, and like we're moving locations, and I was like, oh cool, and like that little map, and it was like Domingo Street. I was like, that's right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty excited to have them in my neighborhood. There's only 65 steps from my doorstep. I counted.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah. And then, well, they were the pioneers, and then Monkish started up, and then Smog City was right behind Monkish.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, there's Dudes, there's, Yorkshire Square, Phantom Carriage. All these other places started popping up just out of nowhere, which I feel absolutely grateful to be a part of this whole industry, and like especially in the local community. It brings people together. It's fun, who doesn't like beer?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are a small minority out there that don't like beer, but
they suck.
So basically, so when I moved out here, so I've been living here for, I want to say like 6 years, not where I live now, but in the city.
Uh-huh.
So when I moved in Torrance, but when I moved here where I live now, people would be like, oh, you live near Bermuda Triangle.
That's what we call it. Yeah.
I had never heard of that before. And I was like, what do you mean Bermuda Triangle? The gas guy came and he was the first one to tell me that. And he was like, oh, like he was like looking at this.
Like working on something.
Yeah, because I thought I smelled the gas.
Oh, wow.
And so he's like, you live in the perfect spot. You can walk to all the breweries, and it's called Bermuda Triangle. And I was like, really?
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, so I don't know. Did you come up with that name yourself?
I didn't know, but I think it's pretty clever though, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So today we're actually having Smog City's. Am I saying it right? Amaria Gorilla.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
You even had the accent behind it too. Wow.
Yeah,
Calm down. Calm down.
Hey. It's an Indian Pale Ale,
Yes.
and it is 7.4%. We're doing a 16-ounce 1 pint beer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love, this gives the label gives me the Gorillaz type vibes, the band, their music videos.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know what you're talking about. It's very like cartoony,
Yes, I think it's pretty badass.
It is really cool. I was actually a couple years ago. I was Amarillo Gorilla for Halloween.
Oh, were you? Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I had like my decked out vest, and I got this like random gorilla costume at a Halloween store on Halloween. It sucked because both like the gloves or the hands, whatever, was like both right hands, so there wasn't a right and left. So I had wear 2 right hand gloves.
Yeah. So you had to make it work.
Yeah, I had to make it work, but it was really, really cool. It was really cool.
So once you started working at Smog City, like how much did you know about beer then?
Very little, but I was telling you earlier, like I was brewing my own beer at home, so I kind of had my hands wet a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
So I understood the whole process and how to make it and stuff. So that's what pretty much got me in, the job.
Yeah.
And that's always a plus too. If you're ever trying to like work in the industry, I mean, you have to at least know a little bit, not a lot, because I mean, there's always new things every year that's coming out. That's just like, sky's the limit. There's always new styles, new ways to make it.
Oh, for sure.
Different things to put inside it. Anyways, to be honest, I didn't really know shit, and I was actually kind of scared. Me and Carrie started going there as patrons, and I got to know like the beers up and down and the staff members. And I remember like they sent out this like Instagram post, we're hiring, and I was like, and I was working at Petco at the time doing dog grooming, and I hated that job. Hated it to death. I love animals, but I hated working for Petco because they're just complete dicks. Anyway, so like I told Carrie, I'm like, hey man, like I really want to apply for this job, but I'm really scared, I don't want to be someone that doesn't know shit, and they're just like, who's this fucking guy, Anyways, I submitted a resume, and they called me back for an interview and was asking me all these questions, and I guess I nailed them. I don't know how I did. I like kind of hacked half of them, But So what they did is they all like took a vote and they voted me in, and only one person was against it. And fuck that person. He doesn't work there anymore. Anyway, so. But no, I've been there for 5 years now, and I absolutely love it. I meet so many great people. People in the beer community are so nice, so friendly, so non-judgmental. You know, I see all walks of life.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are. But this cool thing, the magical thing about it is beer brings people together. It's something to talk about. You can nerd about it. You can, you know, exchange tasting notes and shit. And I think it's special. It's fun.
Yeah. And especially what it is now. Because I remember, you know, growing up, all I remember is like Bud Light, Budweiser.
Right. Yeah.
My dad used to drink a lot. And so those were the two beers that he would drink. Which I feel like the brewing scene. Am I saying that right? Brewery scene. Yeah. Has really evolved. And so now there's different flavors, you know. So I was telling you before we started to record that when I started drinking, you know, when I would go out, let's say with my girlfriends to a club, I was the type of girl who had wine or cocktails. Like I wouldn't touch, I would never touch a beer. Like that was just not me. Oh, yeah. And then I met my best friends, Christina, Marlene, and Roxana, and they were beer drinkers. Cool. And so they introduced them. Yes, they started introducing me into it. And then as I started to kind of branch out, and then I noticed a lot of my friends were like, try this darker beer, try that, you know, I started to get more of an appreciation for beer.
Absolutely.
And so I think now I drink darker beer than my girlfriends who introduced me to it. Like I love coffee and porters.
That's cool.
Coffee stouts. But not everyone likes them.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that because, you know, someone that really doesn't drink beer that often, that only sticks to one certain style, like Bud Light or whatever, like, oh, it's too dark. Like, don't be discouraged by the color of it. You know, it's not going to be strong. What makes it that color is just the way you toast the malts, and it's plain and simple. Yeah. You know, they're like, oh, it's dark. It's going to be extremely strong. It's going to taste bad. No, that's not the case. And I always tell people, like, don't cheat your palate, you know, because just because the way it looks or whatever, or the way it smells, it's going to taste delicious. It might change your entire perspective on, like, what beer is going to be like. And you might love the shit out of it. Yeah. You know? So I always tell people, don't cheat your palate. Always try it. If you don't like it, cool, move on to the next one, you know? Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Yeah. I do, like, for me, because of I am on this level now that and especially with all my friends, like, I won't touch if Budweiser or Bud Light. Like,
it's been a long time since I touched those beers.
Yeah, and I remember one of my friends came and he had one, and I gave him that judgy look. That look like, yeah, and I was like, I'm sorry, I am judging you right now. I really am. Like, I will not touch that.
I mean, I love Modelo. I really do. And and honestly, it is a great tasting beer. It doesn't suck. Yeah. And it's like great for all, you know, weather types and occasions, barbecues, whatever. That's always there, you know. But like you said, if I see like a Bud Light or whatever, I'll just not even want to. I have no desire to touch it or drink it. And I think craft beer is like the most punk rock thing out there because this is what got me hired. Actually, I used this slogan and they like freaked out. I told them like, you're using grain to go against the grain. You know, you're using like quality malts and ingredients to go against these corporate conglomerate like shitty like ingredient producing beer companies, you know? Yeah. Like Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch and those kind of companies. Yeah. And they're freaking heads like explode. Like, we want to make a t-shirt out of that. Yeah. And then they pretty much told me I was hired after that. So I was like, yes.
So how long have you been there now?
5 years as of late June. Yeah. I had my 5-year anniversary there. They actually gave me like a cool card, you know, signed by the whole staff and stuff. And they gave me a 5-year-old bottle of Bourbon OE, which is our bourbon barrel-aged barley wine, which I have in my closet. I'm probably going to crack it open after like 10 years or something, you know? Yeah. I just want to age it and make it kind of mellow out a little bit.
So I can tell you that for me, coming as kind of like an outsider to this scene of beer out here, you were a staple where I recognized you when I would go to Smog with my friends. Like, I knew exactly who you were, like a mini celebrity. Because I was like, I know who he is. I see him all the time. Like, I'm sure people probably say hi to you all the time. Yeah. So, let me ask you this. So, now that you've been working and when you said you were brewing in your own home, are they kits that they sell?
Yeah, yeah, they're kits. There's actually a place down the street where we live, called the South Bay Brew Supply, which is in Old Torrance. You can get a basic, 2 5-gallon bucket kit with like some shitty bottling wand or whatever, for like $70. I first started using extract. It wasn't all grain, so like everything you see on these breweries are all grain. They never use extract, and it's a good stepping stone for like beginner brewers and just kind of get your feet wet.
Mm-hmm.
I made a pale ale, which is a mimic of Sierra Nevada, because I'm a huge Sierra Nevada pale ale fan. I'll live and die with that beer. That's just one of my favorites. So I try to like mimic it, with an extract kit. It came out pretty good, and I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Then I started getting like more and more into different hop profiles and grain bills and all kinds of shit. And my friend Jackson, which is Carrie's old high school buddy, she cuts his hair, and like we became really good friends. And we started brewing together every Tuesday for like, I think it was like a year and a half or something. But we actually bought this like this thing called the Grain Father. It's from New Zealand, and it's like an all-in-one brewing thing. It's like no plastic buckets involved. It's like all stainless steel. It's really nice. Controlled. You can control the temperature on your phone. It's like a Bluetooth. It's like super high tech.
Now, if I ask you to go through the process of those kits, like how would you explain that to me? Because I've never done that. Like,
so I'll break it down to you real quick, just in a nutshell. And this is an all grain style thing. So you buy your malt and barley. Depends what kind of beer you're getting or making. And what you do is you're gonna mill it down. So you pretty much like grind it down to like little bits.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is open the husk. So when you boil it, or actually when you mash it, it's called mashing. When you mash it in hot water, what that does is extract all the sugars from those grains, and then the next step is boiling it to pasteurize it, make sure it's like there's no like bacteria or anything like that inside. You want to make sure everything's sanitized 100%, because if it's not, you're gonna fuck up your entire batch, and nobody wants to do that. And then you add your hops during the boil. You let it rest and cool down, and you put it in a carboy or whatever vessel you need to, and you pitch your yeast. And what the yeast does is going to eat all those sugars that you just extracted from those grains and turns it into alcohol and carbonation. So it's a byproduct of yeast. So like it pretty much shits out alcohol and carbonation. That's all. That's pretty much the whole process in a nutshell. Yeah.
And how long is that process?
So to ferment, for the yeast to eat all the sugars out of is typically about 2 weeks. 2 weeks time. But bigger, heavier beers like porters and stouts take about up to a month.
Oh, I had no
lagers take about definitely 6 weeks to make, because they ferment in cooler temperatures. Ales, which is what we're drinking right now. So there's a difference between lagers and ales. Lagers are they ferment in like cooler temperatures, I believe like 30 degrees or something. That's why places like Germany and like colder regions of the world they specialize in those kind of beers, lagers and like pilsners and stuff like that. And then places like on the western side that has warmer temperatures produce mostly like ales, like England, those kind of places like that.
Yeah. I've learned so much already. Yeah. So when you and your friends would do it, you would have to wait. Like you would start the process together and then like just let it stay.
Yeah. Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
And what we do to see if it's done, it's this thing called gravity checks. Pretty much like calculates the sugars if it's been eaten by the yeast or not, and that gives you an idea if it's ready or not.
So it's like some chemical ass shit.
It's crazy. It's some scientific shit. And like I still don't know everything about it. Like I'm still learning as the days go on as I work for these companies.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because I I've seen footage of how they make beer in, commercials or like stuff like that, but for you to break it down like that, it's definitely a lot more complicated.
Yeah, it is a lot more complicated than I actually explained. I'm just kind of trying to simplify it.
Yeah. So I can only imagine.
It is. Yeah.
I knew a guy years ago who that was his thing, was to do that with his friends. But I didn't care at the time, so now I'm all curious. I was like,
I think you should do it. And like, honestly, like once you get your feet wet and try it out and you actually try something you actually made, a beer you made yourself.
Yeah.
Nothing beats it. Like, especially the first one you make, you're like, holy shit, I just made this and I'm gonna get drunk off it. It's fucking brilliant. It's fun. And it's cool because you can share it with your friends. Like, that's what I did actually every time I brewed at home. Like, I would bottle it and like give it to my friends for like, Christmas or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Would you give them names and stuff?
Yeah, I did. Well, there's this really good one that I made that after Trump got elected. It was called "Make America Brown Again."
Brown again.
Yeah, because not only I'm Hispanic and like I'm all for that shit. Like but it was an American brown ale with maple syrup, and it was freaking delicious.
Wow, with maple syrup.
Yeah, and I made a little label for it. It had like the MAGA hat on, on top of the country, but it said "Make America Brown Again."
Yeah.
And of course, it's like the opposite of what our president wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, that's punk rock.
Yeah. Do you think he drinks beer?
Yeah, he probably drinks Bud Light.
Trash. No. But so how does what you just went, like the process you just told me, how does that differ from like Smog City, like the bigger breweries?
Oh yeah, it's because over at Smog City we're bigger volumes, and they're very, very particular on how they make it, and they want it to be consistent.
Right.
Thing is, when you brew at home, like it's hard to make things consistent unless you have it like down to a T. With the equipment they have at these bigger breweries, it's easier to make it a lot more consistent. Because we're drinking, for instance, Amarillo Gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course it's good and delicious, and you want to make sure the next time you drink it again, it's going to taste the same and not different. So with brewing at home, it's a little harder because I made this beer, it was great, and I'm going to try to mimic it again. It might turn out totally different because just one slight adjustment can fuck up the entire recipe.
And that's where the big machines.
Yeah, the big machines definitely
handle that.
Yes.
Now, I have a question for myself. Mm-hmm. So I told you I like the coffee porters and stouts. Right. So how do they get the coffee in there? So
first of all, we use fresh Groundworks coffee. They're based out of Venice or Santa Monica, one of the two. It used to be called Groundworks Coffee Porter, but they didn't want to be involved with like beer for some weird reason.
Yeah.
But anyways, what they did, they did it two ways. So we just got a new, like some new equipment, and we brew it entirely different. But anyways, when we first started brewing it, we would actually steep like coffee grounds in the middle of the fermenters and just let it kind of do its thing, almost like a cold brew.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of like let the coffee sit overnight,
mm-hmm.
and it naturally kind of just extracts the whole coffee out of it. That's pretty much what we did in one of those big vessels. But we use like hundreds of pounds of coffee.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why it's so like aggressively coffee flavored and tastes like you're drinking a cold brew.
Yeah. So when you do that with other flavoring, it's like chocolate, or how is same kind of process?
It's kind of like we have a beer called the Nothing, and that's a double chocolate imperial stout.
Mm-hmm.
We use a lot of chocolate malt. It's not necessarily actual chocolate. It's just the flavor notes that come from it. And we use two different kinds of cacao nibs.
Yeah.
And I think they're from like some Southern American region or something. I forget. But
cacao?
Cacao nibs.
It's like that's where isn't that what Coke comes from?
No, that's coca leaves.
Oh.
Wrong thing, Mary.
I got all excited.
Mary likes to party. Whoa, okay.
No. Anyway.
But cacao nibs. It looks like tiny little like rocks of like cocoa or like chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes like it has a little bitterness to it. You have like Mexican chocolate, right?
Yeah.
Of course. You have it tastes like that if you kind of just like chunk it off,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it gives like a bitter aspect of it, not like a sweet milk chocolate thing. unless you add lactose to the beer, but that's a whole different fucking process. But yeah, so it's like a bitter dark chocolate beer.
Yeah.
It tastes amazing. It's one of my favorite stouts ever.
Yeah. And it's crazy 'cause I don't know what it is about dark beers that I like, but I never liked, you know, what is it Hennessy? No.
Guinness?
Guinness.
Yeah.
Thank you. I never liked that at all, but for some reason, these dark beers I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, because Guinness is like an Irish thing. Like they were like the creators of that kind of style.
Yeah.
And especially like the nitro versions of it. Stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a totally different thing with American beer and European beer. Totally different malts. They come from different regions. But I know what you're saying though, for sure.
Yeah.
And you know what? Guinness is actually only like 3.5%. It's like a very low ABV beer.
Yeah.
And it's funny when I see some people like, drink like a couple Guinnesses, like, oh man, I'm wasted. I'm like, do you only drink like a 3.5% beer?
Yeah.
Like,
so the U.S., for example, historically only had like your Miller Lite, like the lighter stuff. But then when this scene took off, it was like the U.S. was like on a whole nother beer game to the rest of the world.
There's companies like Sam Adams. They're actually the biggest craft beer company in the United States. Believe it or not. And like you see that on the shelves everywhere. You go to the supermarket, you see Sam Adams all the time. And also Sierra Nevada. Those two are like the old school fucking like craft beer, American beer companies.
Like some of the first ones.
Some of the first ones for sure.
Yeah.
There was also little places too here and there, like Hemp Brewing Company it was called excuse me. I think it was like Eureka. I forgot what it was called, but they actually got discontinued. But they were around for a while. And when I first started getting into craft beer, or like Pete's Wicked Ale, that's another good one. They got discontinued and shut down. They were great, but yeah. Anyways, it kind of left like this like legacy and for people to kind of like make it continue and grow.
Yeah.
And just look at us now. Like LA has a few hundred breweries, and San Diego's just freaking gigantic.
Yeah.
Places up north are popping off. California's a big state.
It is.
There's a lot of land to cover.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
As far as like uplifting the whole craft beer community.
Yeah. I if I'm not mistaken, was it, the whole craft beer scene really took off. Like you said, there were different places that would make it, but I feel like the culture really took off in California.
Absolutely. Totally.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked to be like, to see it in my own two eyes,
Yeah. And be a part of it yourself.
It makes me pretty happy. Like, there's a lot of good beer now opposed to a lot of shit beer. It kind of upsets me though, because I have a lot of friends out there, like some of my punk rock friends, like they think like drinking craft beer is like hipster or something. Like, nah, man, this is the most punk rock thing ever, dude. Like, it's all like they're giving to the community. They're offering jobs, yeah, and like you're still supporting these like shitty like beer companies.
Yeah, they're missing out.
To me, that is not punk rock.
Yeah, no, they're totally missing out.
They are.
And then you and I talked about, when we had our experiences going to Europe, and so I was telling you that I had seen like the craft scene out here, and so the first time I went to England. I was almost like disappointed that they didn't have a variety of beer.
Totally.
So I was like, oh, I guess I got a little snobby, American now with like, what, this is all the beer you have? Like, because I'm so used to having like an array of beer tastings yeah.
Especially where we live in our little town. And
Bermuda Triangle.
Bermuda Triangle. Seriously. we're spoiled here.
Yes. We really are.
And like you said, when, because me and Carrie went to Europe, and the first we went to the Great British Beer Festival in London, and that was fucking cool. It was like this gigantic warehouse, there's a bunch of shit going on. And I didn't know there was that many craft breweries in England, but it is, it's not very many, but there's, they're starting to pop up all the time.
Yeah.
But it was cool because out there it's all like cast style, it's like a Yorkshire Square, just like that, and like almost room temperature, low carbonated, but very malt forward, very sweet. And like they had this American cask hour at that beer festival, and everyone flipped their shit. Like there's a line out the door because out there they love American beer, like they love it
because it's the shit.
It is the shit.
Now I'm not referring to Bud Light or Budweiser.
Yeah, we're talking about some real shit. So like it was 3:00 and like me and Carrie like, what's this line for? And like this one guy's like, oh, this it's, it's time for the American beer. And they love our shit because it's really high in alcohol, and we hop the shit out of our beers, which I love. And out there, they don't really have good quality hops. They have to get it shipped over. Us, we're fortunate. We live on the West Coast. We get a lot of our hops from Washington, like Yakima Valley. They're like really known for like their hop farms and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Yakima Valley.
Yeah.
And we get it at the freshest way possible. It's not even that far away. It's only 2 states away. Come ship it back down to California, and you get that fresh. Nothing beats just like open up a bag of hops.
Mm-hmm.
You just get that burst of like citrus and just oils. All it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Out there, they don't really have that too much.
Yeah. And, for any of you guys listening out around the world that, probably are not understanding this whole culture that, I don't know if maybe your country doesn't have it, but like, when people go wine tasting, people out here go, beer tasting.
Totally.
And so it's kind of like a thing, here they allow like children to come in because they're breweries, they have food. And so everyone's drinking different types of beer. For my birthday, I went to Yorkshire. And I had no idea, but they give you a whole paddle.
Oh yeah.
Of
a
flight
with proper pint 20-ounce glasses.
Yeah, so they were. I was like, I was drunk by the end of the night. I didn't drink all of them, but I'm very. You see how petite I am.
You're pretty small.
We had gone to Smog, and then I think we went to the Strand, and then ended up there, and I had no idea that they would give me full pints, like a whole flight of full pints for free. It's not just
4-ounce tasters. It's a freaking 20-ounce pint.
Yeah. So I split it with everyone, but I was done, I think, right after that.
That'll do it for sure.
Yes. But it's just a cultural thing out here. And, when I first went to England, I was shocked that they didn't have, I guess I expected it to be a worldwide thing, but at the time it wasn't. The last time I went, I saw a shift. They were trying to do like the outdoor seating. You can tell that the culture had changed in 5 years.
Oh, for sure.
So it was catching on over there, and there was IPAs and everything. But I still didn't feel at the time. I'm sure now it's probably a lot like here, but at the time I was like, yeah, we still got it better over there. Like.
I feel we still have it going more than they do. But I mean, God bless them. They're catching on and they're doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
And I think it should be a global, worldwide thing.
Yeah. So I feel like it is catching on globally. As you can tell, we're looking at my wall here of all my travels. So I've been to quite a few countries in the world. And so when I started to drink, different types of beer, we would try to find a brewery in every country.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, not all of them had them, but there were, some places. There's always an Irish pub in every
somewhere. Yeah. You can find something.
We were in like Machu Picchu, and there was an Irish pub. Like
that's
they're
cool.
Everywhere.
Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it was just interesting to see that there's a culture worldwide.
Sure.
Like and whether we may not like the beer, but we were like, we're gonna try. One, like their national beer that the country has, and two, we want to find like a brewery and try like theirs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you been to Prague?
I've not been in Prague, but one of the coolest countries I've ever been to was the last time me and Carrie went to Europe. We went to Paris. It was like our honeymoon thing. We got married, and then okay, so backtrack a couple years. Like when we went to England for Rebellion Festival, I proposed her during one of her favorite bands, which is The Damned.
Aww. Love it.
Came back home, got married, and then a year later we went back to Europe, but we flew into Paris first, and then we went to like a couple like craft beer bars. It's not really big in Paris at all, but after that we went to Belgium, and Belgium was the shit. My God, like
was it?
Oh man, it was beautiful. Like we were only there for 2 days, and like we went to Cantillon. They've been around for 100 years, and like we're doing like a whole tour of the whole brewery, and like they're like brewing equipment looks like old school like torture devices and shit.
Yeah.
It's like cobwebs, it's just really old and like rickety and shit. But it was like, I mean, that's just how they kept brewing it ever since they opened. They always like bare laser stuff, and it was really, really cool. Went to the Delirium Cafe. Drink a lot of Belgian wits. I love Belgian wits. And out there, like I actually got to try it from the actual source where it was actually created, you know?
Really?
Yeah. A lot of Trappist stuff, like monks that make that kind of shit.
Oh.
Then we went to Amsterdam after that, and that was a lot of fun. But I didn't really drink much beer. I just did a lot of drugs.
So the reason I had brought up Prague was because I guess they have beer spas out there where you would go into the tubs of beer.
Right.
So we didn't realize it until we were there. So we couldn't find any that had available spots or openings because I guess people would go in. I guess they're like big tubs.
Yeah.
You know, and then
like a sauna
they're almost like they look like barrels, but they're like tubs, but they I guess would look like barrels, and it's just full of beer. And people would like
bathe in it.
That's
so cool.
So we were like, we gotta fucking go. But apparently people booked those things in advance, so we couldn't get an opening.
Yeah. I remember Carrie showed me like a video of that or something.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Neither did I. And I was like, we gotta do this one day.
One day, yeah. So that's on my bucket list.
For sure. I want to bathe in beer. That'd be great.
I know. But that just goes to show like beer has, cultural importance.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah. And so I was talking to you as far as like the history. Now I'm not going to touch too much into it, but we were saying that I guess the first documented beers that they think, they say that it could be a lot older,
right.
But it was 3100 BC in the Western Iran area and Egyptian area, where it seems that they were brewing. There was some type of brewing techniques for beer,
right.
But again, it's like not what it is now, obviously, but some type of form of fermenting alcohol.
So they would, from what I know.
Yes.
I mean, I can't tell you an exact date or whatever, but I know it's been centuries and centuries since it's been created. But back in those days, they would like boil malt or whatever they can find. It could be cider or whatever. They'll gather natural yeast from the air to ferment whatever they're making.
Air?
Oh yeah.
How do you do
like
that?
like kombucha, for instance. If you make home kombucha, you just have pretty much like a vessel with tea, and you have like a cheesecloth on top of it, and what that does is gathers all the natural yeast from the air, and that ferments your product, and that creates alcohol. So me and Carrie watched this really cool like a documentary. I think it was on Netflix. It's called like the history of how beer saved the world.
How beer saved the world. I'm gonna look that up.
It was pretty fucking fascinating. And it made a lot of sense. Like a lot of those people were drinking beer or alcoholic beverages during like the Black Plague. The reason why, because like people that would drink like regular water, it was like poison to them,
Mm-hmm.
So what they would do, they would boil it, and that would, like I said, that would kill like any bacteria, any source of whatever. Black Plague, I don't know what you call it, but most of the people that drank alcoholic beverages were the ones that survived that entire thing.
Oh, I had no idea.
It was fucking cool. It's like, wow, man, that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
But who knows if that's true? I don't know, dude. Because, there's all there is like, scriptures or whatever stories from people that told from those days.
Yeah. There must be some truth to it, I think.
Yeah.
Only because I think when the plague hit, there was already people writing. They would write in their novels.
Sure.
Yeah, so there must be some truth to it. Yeah. Oh, I had no idea. Yeah, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna check that out.
How beer saved the world.
How beer saved the world on Netflix, or we'll find it.
Yeah. Pretty sure it was Netflix.
There's a lot of streaming services now.
There is. Way too many.
Yeah. So, as you know, beer is a huge culture thing also with soccer and sports.
Absolutely.
And, in sports in general.
Yeah, totally.
But it was nice for me when I would travel, like, to Europe to see that everyone would go to the pubs and just, like, drink before the game. Uh-huh. And the culture is like, everyone's dancing and singing before the game.
And stuff,
and then you go into the stadium and either they, one, don't sell beer, or two, if they do, it's like 0.01% alcohol.
Bummer.
Yeah,
so
and
you
I
have
was
to get lit before you go to those fucking games.
Well, I didn't know that until I was there, and I was like, oh, that explains why everyone's out at the pubs right before.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
That's like, like a pre-gaming before a show or something.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, which makes total sense now. I was like, what? Beer that's 0.01. And now they sell non-alcoholic beer out there which I don't know if they did 5 years ago or did they always, and I just didn't know about it.
No, they have.
They have?
Yeah,
Okay.
for
I just
quite
didn't know
some
about
time
it.
now,
Yeah.
I remember I remember I thought I was all cool one time. I got like St. Pauli Girl. They have a non-alcoholic beer version, and like it comes in like instead of a green pack, it's like a red label or something.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea, and I brought that shit to a party. Oh man, I got like so much shit for that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's non-alcoholic. No, it's not. It's beer, man. What are you talking about? It's fucking St. Pauli Girl.
Aw.
But I saw the ABV was like 0.001. I was like, god damn it. I felt like a schmuck, but
Yeah, I literally had no idea until recently that they sold that. So I'm obviously out of the loop.
well, not like you need to know anyway, because
Yeah.
you drink real beers. So.
Yes. Yes. So, I honestly like love trying different beers, and I'm appreciative that a lot of my friends are into trying different beers, and what would you say you would recommend for people to try, or
Usually what they're used to, like, so say like, this is what I do. Like when someone comes into my brewery and like, oh, well, do you have anything that's like close to Modelo or Pacifico? Because that's what they're used to drinking. And of course we do have a style that matches their taste.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like offer them to do a flight. I'm like, here, try a flight. You get to try 5 different like beers. I can give you some that that you're used to, kind of maybe get a little bit different as
Mm-hmm.
it gives them a chance to taste something different, and it enlightens them, and it's fun too. And I was like, when you see a little tray of a bunch of tasters, a bunch of different colors, it's pretty. Like,
Yeah.
you want to take a photo of it and shit, and post on your Instagram or something.
Yeah.
It's fun, and it makes their experience fun.
Yeah.
But you want to start out like small and slow. Don't jump into some heavy shit or whatever and think you're gonna
Work your way up.
work your way up and try it out. Like,
it's an acquired taste.
it is.
Yeah.
Like you want to, your palate has to adjust to these kind of things. At first, I hated IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
I did. They're way too bitter, like all kinds of shit going on. But like my palate adjusted to it, and now I love them. That's like the only style I really drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. No, I personally, I don't drink. Like if I go to a brewery or anywhere, and I won't pick an IPA, but I am not, when I first started, just like you said, I guess my palate has changed, so it doesn't offend me at all.
For sure. Yeah.
But I definitely like the darker stouts and porters, and I've had friends that are like, oh, when they taste it, because it is a lot more, the taste for them is a lot more stronger. So I dig it, but
Get used to it, friends.
so I'm the one that usually, like, if you see me at the brewery buying like a 6-pack, I'm probably going to someone's house, and I've noticed a lot. It's only a few people that'll touch it, and I can tell by their personalities.
Well, that's good for you.
Yeah,
That's more for you, so.
I can tell the personalities who are the ones like that will touch, and who you can kind of tell by the people's personalities.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, the other thing I wanted to say, what would you say is the best temperature to drink beer? Or is there a temperature?
I think there is. Well, like the standard is 35 degrees. That's like the standard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too cold, or it's gonna be like frosty, and it's not too warm. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think 35 degrees is pretty standard.
Yeah.
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 It's cold. It's it's refreshing. It's not too icy or too cold.
Yeah,
Where, like you try to drink it, it's like, oh, this is way too cold.
Yeah.
Or like if it's way too warm, it tastes like crap. But it's really all in your personal preference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly.
So, I know we talked about Monkish earlier. So I know they do a lot of like
New England hazy IPAs.
Yeah.
I love that shit. Monkish is like my home away from home. Me and Carrie.
Yeah.
I'm bummed out that they're not open right now, and like they always sell out of their beers like when they have releases.
So that's the big thing that I noticed is that even people that I know from the Valley are like, oh, you live by Monkish, and I'm like, oh, I do actually, but their biggest thing is their releases.
Mm-hmm.
So they only make a certain amount of batch of
it's
beer.
very limited, very small, but I think they perfected it way better than the East Coast did. It's just something about it, man. It's okay. For instance, like Carrie like hated IPAs until she had like a Monkish IPA. It's a totally different like
Ball game.
Different beast compared to like a West Coast IPA, which is what we're drinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is, or the one we're drinking right now is more clarified, has a little bit of more of a bitter kind of a element to it.
Mm-hmm.
Monkish, like, or the East Coast IPAs. It looks like orange juice. It tastes like pineapple juice. It tastes like mango juice. Like, it's more tropical, more palatable. So easy to drink, and they're freaking high in the alcohol. So it's like dangerously good.
Yeah, like you shouldn't be driving at all.
Yeah, if you have like 3 of them, like get an Uber, please.
Or walk home.
Or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
But yeah, so that's why they have such a huge cult following, because they do it so damn good.
Yeah.
And they also do other beers too. Like they started out as a Belgian style brewery. They never made IPAs, but since the IPA craze started happening, and it does sell a lot, and they want to do something different that's not what all the other breweries are doing, which is West Coast IPAs, which is what we're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So they started doing East Coast IPAs, and they do it fucking damn well. And Smog City, they vowed to never make a hazy IPA because they thought it was trendy. And I was the one that got them to do it. And the first hazy IPA they made was named after me.
Oh,
it was called Stamps Revenge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was
now, explain to those who they can understand.
My last name is Stamps.
Yes.
And I love hazy IPAs.
Yes.
So I was pushing the envelope to Smog City forever since I started working there. I'm like, dude, if you make it, it's going to sell. You want to make some money, you got to hop on that fucking train, dude. And they finally gave in. Actually, they finally gave in on making cans, too. So they're like, we're strictly bottles because they want to be all fancy schmancy about shit. I'm like, man, no one cares about that shit, dude. Make something that's like accessible and you can take anywhere, like a 4-pack of cans or something.
Yeah.
And also some hazy IPAs. And now, like, they're killing it right now. We're killing it.
Yeah.
So we're on the late train with that kind of style, but better late than never,
Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing it pretty well.
And you guys are you guys are everywhere. You go to the supermarkets.
Yeah.
You guys are there.
We're distributed by Stone, so you can find us all the way from San Diego all the way up to Portland, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just added a bunch of new fermenters in the breweries, so like we have to meet that quota of that high demand.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, as we were talking about, like, was it Bud Light, and what's their corporate name?
Anheuser-Busch.
Thank you. I could never say that name.
Mm-hmm.
They buy out the Golden
Brewery? They're buying all kinds of breweries. Yeah, Golden Road. So that's why everyone hates Golden Road now, because they sold out.
Yeah.
And technically that's not really craft. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I ever had a good Golden Road beer before. I never really got into them, but after they like sold out to Anheuser-Busch, I really don't want it.
Yeah.
But from what I did have, like Mango Cart and that kind of shit, it's so gross. It's just sugary.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
It doesn't taste real. And but yeah, like they're trying to buy out all the craft breweries because they feel threatened. They feel like they're
as they should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, look how many craft breweries are popping up every year.
Yeah.
And they're like, holy shit.
And I had read that their sales were dropping. Like drastically.
Oh yeah, and they're
like
freaking
5.
out.
Yeah, so then they were like, let's join the game and start buying some of these.
Yeah,
breweries.
Elysian is another one from Washington. Like the Space Dust IPA, you'll see those in the stores, but they're actually kind of okay, But I'm not going to support them. They sold out. To me, that's kind of a pussy way out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like obviously you never really cared for the craft. You only care for money.
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
Yeah. So, I think too, it's probably hard, right? Like, when do you sell, or do you keep it in the family, or
I'm so stuck.
Away?
I mean, I'm on kind of a tug of war. Like, so say like a record company came to my band and was like, here's $1 million. Like, we want you to, join our label, but of course they're going to like change your songs or even our lineup, because they want to see those faces that they want to see. That's like radio friendly or some shit. If someone offered me $1 million, I'd fucking take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's just me. That's just for my music. I can start another band that's going to do that. Anyways, but
that's another episode.
Call me an asshole about that, but whatever. Money talks, bullshit walks.
Yeah. No, so I'm sure it's like hard decisions for these owners.
Sure. And I'm sure they're sweating bullets like, damn, I mean, we want to keep it like
what
community and stuff, but we also don't want to sell out. But the money is great.
Yeah.
I get it.
And then staying on that subject is I've also seen some breweries who were bought out and then just went to shit after
For sure.
and bust basically.
Oh yeah.
Which is the one that really blew up and then they were sold. There's one in Long Beach. Oh my God, I can't think of the name right now. It was at Seal Beach.
I don't know.
Everyone that I know would go over there, but I never liked the beer. I felt like it was
it's
too.
Not Beechwood, right?
No.
Beach is awesome. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't even know.
I swear someone was just there today too. I might have seen that on my stories.
They're still like there in Long Beach?
Yeah. They were bought, and I can't think of their name right now for some reason. Hold on, let me move the microphone.
Computer.
Sorry. So now it's killing me because
I want to know too.
a lot of my friends would go over there, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna pass. And someone was there today.
Was it
Ballast Point?
Oh, okay.
Do you like? I don't.
Yes and no, I guess. But I mean, like, it's not. I'm gonna go out of my way to buy. And their beer's expensive as hell. Like a 6-pack of was that Sculpin IPA? It's like $17-$18 for a 6-pack. It's not that special. But I mean, like, they have a lot of beautiful locations. I give them that. Like, the Long Beach locations, like on the waterfront, it's beautiful. They have a downtown Disney location, which is nice, like 2 stories and shit. Other than that, I don't go out of my way to buy it.
Yeah. So for me, that kills the experience because I like that whole small vibe community thing, and I feel like when they get too big, like, yeah. I stopped going to Golden Brewery maybe 6-7 years ago.
I never even been there.
I went a few times and then I stopped going because it was becoming like that's where everybody was going, and I'm kind of like the opposite now. That like I feel now I'm gonna sound snobby to some people, but I feel like when I would go to certain spots, nobody was there, and that's what I loved about it. So then when the crowd, like started to, I guess, find the spot, it would get crowded. I would just stop going. Like I'm like, yeah, it's not my thing anymore. Like it loses that personal familiarity.
Oh, for sure, that intimacy. And
yeah,
I get it. Like yeah. There's a couple places like that. Like you want to go somewhere where like you're not gonna be bothered. At least me, Like I want to go somewhere where it's a little quiet. It's nice. If it's like a shit show, it turns me off. And like you said, people are like want to talk to me all the time. Like, oh, get away from me. I'm trying to enjoy myself, But
yeah,
it's very rare that happens though. Like that's if I go somewhere where it's overly populated, like what do you call it? Angel City Brewing Company. They have a beautiful brewery, a beautiful location. Fun fact: Michael Jackson filmed "Beat It" at that location.
Oh, in the building.
Yeah, well, right outside of it.
Right outside of it.
Yeah, but obviously it wasn't Angel City Brewing Company in the '80s because they just really started like a. Yeah.
That's in the downtown LA area.
Arts
for those of you who don't know the area. So that's another. I mean, it's just a bunch. This county has so many breweries. I mean, it's huge. I used to go there as well before everyone started heading there, and now I refuse to go to downtown.
And that big like kind of a swirly slide thing in the middle of the brewery? I don't know if you've seen it, but it used to be an old steel mill, and I guess where they made the Golden Gate Bridge was manufactured at that location.
That's amazing. There's a lot of history out there.
Oh, it's tons of history. Like the whole like spiral slide thing. That's where they used to roll down the big like spindles of like metal cable for like the bridges and shit like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah,
a lot of history. And Arts District, there's a lot of breweries, really good ones too, like Mumford Brewing Company, Arts District Brewing Company. There's Frogtown. There's Boomtown. Indie Brewing Company. They're all like right there, and they're all amazing brewing companies. Check them out.
Yeah, check all of them out. I feel like I know when, because obviously like we live in Bermuda Triangle with all these breweries. I see now that there's like party buses.
Yeah. Oh,
would you call them party buses or?
Well,
but basically they drive to brewery and brewery.
They're brew tours.
Brew tours.
Yeah, there's the people that run those things are fucking cool. The people that join those things are fucking dicks. Like they think getting hammered and go to brewery is like a cool thing to do, but it's really not. Like it's supposed to be the opposite of that. Like, so say like you go to it's not like going to a dive bar, where like you're getting in a fist fight with some guy you don't like there. We're not trying to be like that element. Like we want to come enjoy yourselves and like just taste the beer, nerd out about it and talk about it. But these people that go on these brew tours, after like the third brewery, they're like super blacked out and they come in, they're like super rude. Yeah. Not all of them, but about 80% of the time they are. Yeah. And it sucks.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gives them an opportunity to check out all these wonderful breweries in our town. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's going to be a point where it's going to die down, the brewing
I think
scene?
It's been starting to.
You think so? Yeah.
Especially during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of places like us, for instance, we're only doing to-go sales, and we rely most of our sales on actual pours, like a pint. I noticed a couple of places just threw in the towel, gave it up because they're not making any business or any money, which is very unfortunate. That goes for other business, not just beer, for anything.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting hit really bad on this thing.
Yeah.
My hours got cut in half because of it. I had to hop on unemployment to help me stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, she's a barber, so her like salon got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like doing friends and family like cuts in her garage and shit like that. And she's bummed out. She's like a meltdown the other day because she was, because she can't go to her salon. She's paying rent for it still, and she can't even use it.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
It's like I'm hoping that this will just end soon.
Me too, man. Me too. I miss my social life a lot.
Yes, yes.
And I play music too, and the last show I played was March 13th. That was the day before, actually the day they shut down everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird times we're living in.
It's super weird.
Yeah. But I want to thank you so much for having this conversation on beers and the brewing scene. I definitely learned a lot just from the process of when you're doing it at home and when, the big guys do it. Anything you feel like we should know or?
Keep rocking in the free world, man.
Yeah. So, thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed this time with us. And for you guys who have made it this far, thank you for listening. And I hope to see you guys next time. So bye, Josh.
Bye, Mary. Thank you.
That was episode 19 of the Purposely Curious podcast. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on most podcast platforms. And follow us on social media at Purposely Curious on Instagram and at Purposely C Pod on Twitter. That's Purposely, the letter C, Pod. Until next time, you know what to do.